Welcome back, everyone. Friar Tuck here. This is my epoch, and I got a really great comment today. And I love you, Rugsy, man. You are awesome. I'm so glad you said what you said, because now it gave me an opportunity to make another video. Because sometimes I don't realize from your guys' point of view how you guys see things a little bit different. So what I'm going to be talking about is the criminal element within the homeless community, okay? Because, I talked about the three core types of homelessness, and, just because I have a criminal charge on me, even though it has affected me, it does not necessarily put me in that category. And I'm going to explain it so that you guys understand what I'm talking about when I talk about the criminal element. So one of the things. So let's talk about Gainesville. I even talked about it when I was in Gainesville last year, before I left Puckett the first time. Okay, when we're talking about criminal element, we're not talking about, simple violent crimes that to the rest of the world become really hard to be able to get a job, but out here it's considered petty. All right, so we're talking about people. The reason why the women and children don't go to the men's shelters, are not allowed around men's shelters, is because you got guys that got out of prison there that have done SA. They are pedos. You've got people there that are armed robbers, everything from fraud to embezzlement. I mean, there's all kinds of different crimes that these people committed. I'm not talking about something simple like, what happened between me and my ex. I mean, again, that's a petty crime out here. It still keeps me in, to the average homeless person, I'm still a square. Okay, I'm just a square who happened to just get a charge. Okay, but in this world, I think that everybody will end up getting a charge. When we're talking about the criminal element out here, there are people that are out here that are murderers, that have done armed robbery, armed assault, or assault with deadly weapons, things like that. We're talking about people that have committed serious crimes that that go to either state or federal prison. If you are going to jail for less than a year, you go to a state prison, I believe, and then anything over a year, because that's considered a felony, you go to federal prison for that. Now, I'm not 100% sure. I'm going off of what people tell me, because again, longest I've ever been in jail was 14 days for something that was about as dumb could be. But again, it was very consequential in my life. I just proved that. Yeah. Anyways, so while I was in there was a guy that was homeless, but he was also into the drugs, and he was a big tweaker, and he had like a body count of like 4 or 5 people. Okay, and he was a very violent individual. There are those out here that are very, very violent criminals. Some of them are just, you've got gang members, you've got, and then the different roles that they play within there. So, we're talking about dealers, and, we're not talking about the small petty crimes, like the guy that I go talk to on the corner. No, we're talking about his boss's 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 boss. Okay, we're talking about, going up into upper management. Those are the people that end up out here, and a lot of that is because when they get out of prison. So let's say they were picked up in Minnesota, okay, and then they end up doing time in Nebraska, and then when they get out, they have to go to, let's say, Arizona or Mississippi to do their probation. So what they do is they move them all around the country, and so a lot of your homeless population gets dropped in there because they're being released or from recent incarceration. Counties will drop to next counties, states will drop to next states, and the federal government will move them all over the country. Okay, so you have a lot of people within that are getting out of prison that have done anywhere from 5 to 20 years in prison, for again serious crimes. that are out here. That's what I'm talking about by criminal element. And these are the people that will end up becoming repeat offenders over time. It's very rare that somebody doesn't become a repeat offender, especially out here, because what happens is once they get out of prison, they want to bring that whole prison lifestyle, that prison mentality, because that's their comfort zone. They want to bring that out here, and they want to try and enforce that. So you get a new guy that comes out, he's going to be real lippy, but the thing is he's not going to engage you into a fight because he doesn't want to break his probation, but he does have the right to self-defense. So he's going to provoke you so that he can kind of show everybody, like, hey, look, this is who I am. I'm Billy Badass on the block. Okay, because that was what he probably did while he was in prison. And I've heard multiple stories, some from prison guards and some from people that have been in there, and it varies and it differs based upon what you go in for and what your how much time you do in there and all these other things. But you are also, once you go in there, you're engulfed into a gang, and so then when you get out, now you are tied to them because of whatever protection they may have offered you while you were in there. And so there's a lot of different things that go into the criminal element, and some of it is, a lot of it is self-inflicted. Okay, there is it's mostly self-inflicted because they made choices. Some of them were by circumstance, some of them and they were just put in a spot. Some of it was environment, some of it was just a poor upbringing. But there are many different reasons why these individuals made these choices that led them down this life path. And if we want to be honest here, when I was about 15 years old, I was going through some serious stuff. I mean, I almost became trenchcoat mafia myself. I was heading down a really, really bad path, and as much as I follow Billy Meyer, I still have my reverence for Christianity, because it did a lot to change and turn my life around as far as the path that I was on, because I was a very angry kid. I didn't have any direction or anything else like that. My family never thought I would even graduate high school. They expected me to be in prison for by the time I was 25. Okay, and so I mean, I could have very well ended up like that as well, but there are influences that happen. So some of it again could be environmental. You grow up in certain areas. Like when I was growing up in Killeen, which is Fort Hood, depending upon what side of the block you lived on was the gang that you had to join, and you had to join it for your own protection, and then you had to participate not only for your own protection but to be able to do things. And I worked at McDonald's, and that was considered like a neutral zone, and those are the guys that end up going to prison because they're towing the company line essentially, and they end up going down this path and losing their humanity and doing things that they will later regret in life that cause them to go to jail for very long periods of time, whether it be theft, embezzlement, identity theft, violent crimes. It does not matter. Okay, there's many ways in which you can go to jail, and I think that in today's society, if you really want to get technical, if you claim to be a U.S. citizen, the moment you open your eyes, you are an enemy of the state. Okay, according to the Treaty with the Enemies Act of 1917, amended in 1940 to include U.S. citizens. So, in this day and age, everybody has something on their record. Or will have something on their record, but you've got to look at the severity of the crimes. Okay, and so that's kind of my explanation, and so that you understand what it's like. Now, does this mean that you need to be afraid of these people? No, because most of those people, the ones that are really violent, those are the ones that are back in the gangs in the first place, and you really don't see them unless you're hanging out in like Homeless Row or whatever, wherever the homeless congregate, because those guys are herding cattle. Okay, so you don't need to necessarily be afraid of them, but you need to be able to spot them, be aware of them, and to keep your head on a swivel, because these guys things don't happen out here randomly. Some guy's not going to just come up and whack you. What's going to end up happening is you're going to do something stupid because you weren't paying attention, and then you're going to have to pay the consequences. Okay, and there's been times where they're like, we got too much stuff going on, you got to move. And if I didn't move, I would have had to deal with an enforcer. Okay, so these type of things happen. So you know how to help the channel. Become a subscriber, share this video, come on over to Patreon, everything else is down in the description. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.